Talent is a gift, but on the streets, a gift can become a curse. The story you're about to hear isn't about money and fame. It's about a man who could have become the greatest rapper of all time. His rhymes were sharper than a razor, his flow faster than a bullet. They called him the Ghost of Harlem. But there was one law he couldn't escape, unwritten, brutal, carved into the city's concrete jungle, the street code. This code turned him from a legend into a target. Watch until the end, and you will learn why his killer was closer than you can imagine, and what terrible secret the police are still hiding about this case. Welcome to Harlem in the late 80s, a boiling pot where dreams of a better life and a harsh reality collide. Here, every day is a struggle. This is the world where a kid named Lamont Coleman grew up. The world didn't know him yet, but it was about to tremble at his name, Big L. From an early age, Lamont was different. While others played ball, he played with words. He absorbed the rhythm of the streets, turning the gritty truth of life into poetry. His weapon wasn't a gun, it was a microphone. In the mid-90s, he stormed the underground with his crew, Children of the Corn. Think about it, this crew included future stars like Massey and Cameron. But even among them, Big L was a pure genius. His freestyles became legendary. He could destroy any opponent with a couple of lines. His metaphors were so vivid, you could almost touch them. He was the voice of the streets. But to understand his tragedy, we must understand the main law of these streets, the code. What is it? It's a concept beaten into the subconscious of everyone who grew up in the ghetto. It's similar to the Sicilian mafia's omerta. The first principle of the code is don't snitch, ever. If you see a crime, you saw nothing. A violator of this law is a rat, and rats are not forgiven on the streets. Their life isn't worth a dime. The second principle, respect the territory. Every block is someone's kingdom, with its own soldiers and laws. Violations are paid for in blood. Gang wars, like the infamous Crips versus Bloods rivalry, started for this very reason. The third and most important principle, family and crew above all. Your brothers from the block are your problems, and this is the principle that became fatal for Big L. Lamont had two older brothers. One of them, Leroy Big Lee Freeman, was his complete opposite. While Big L built a career in music, Big Lee built his criminal empire. He was the embodiment of the street code. While Big Lee was serving time, Big L's star was rising. His debut album became a classic. Jay-Z himself admitted he was afraid to battle Big L because he knew he would lose.
Big L was on the verge of signing a multi-million-dollar contract, but then his brother Big Lee is released from prison, and the streets start talking about him again. Lamont is caught between two fires. On one side, the bright lights and music. On the other, his brother's shadow and the brutal laws of the streets. He couldn't just turn his back on his brother. The code wouldn't allow it. Blood is blood, and your brother's enemies start looking at you. Imagine the atmosphere of the Corleone family from The Godfather. Michael Corleone wanted an honest life, but family duty dragged him into a spiral of violence. The same thing was happening to Big L. He was too talented for this world, but too loyal to leave it. The streets had him in a death grip. The evening of February 15th, 1999 arrives. Big L is standing on the corner of 139th Street and Lenox Avenue. This is his home turf, his fortress. Suddenly, a car pulls up. A man gets out. Shots are fired. 9 bullets. 7 of them hit him in the head and chest. The legend falls to the asphalt. The killer calmly gets back in the car and drives away. It all happened in seconds. It was a statement, a brutal execution. The voice of Harlem was silenced forever. He was only 24. All of New York was in shock. The police begin their investigation, and they hit that very wall of silence, the code in action. Dozens of people saw everything, but in interrogations, they all said the same thing: "I didn't see anything." But the police still get a prime suspect. And this is where it gets terrifying. It wasn't a rival rapper. The suspect was Gerard Woodley, a man who grew up with Big L, a childhood friend. Why would he do it? Here we approach the secret the streets were hiding. Big L's murder wasn't about his music. It was revenge. Revenge intended for his brother, Big Lee. According to Street Talk, Woodley and Big Lee had criminal dealings that went bad. It might have been about money or betrayal. The street's judgment is swift and merciless. They couldn't get to Big Lee, so they struck at the most precious thing he had: his talented, world-famous younger brother. It was a message, cruel and clear. "We will get to you through your family." Big L paid with his life for his brother's sins.
He was killed by the very street code he glorified in his tracks. The principle of family above all worked in reverse. He didn't betray his family, and that's why he became a target. His fame wasn't a shield. On the contrary, it made him the perfect target, because his murder would make headlines around the world. Gerard Woodley was arrested. But then what? Nothing. There was no evidence. There were no witnesses. The wall of silence was unbreakable. He was released a few months later. Officially, Big L's murder remains unsolved. And this is the secret the police are hiding. They knew who the killer was, but they were powerless against the code. Woodley's own fate was also sealed. In 2016, he was shot and killed in Harlem, on that same 139th Street. The street always collects its deaths. It was a vicious cycle of violence that Big L could never escape. He was a king in the world of words, but a pawn in the brutal game of the streets. His story is not just a crime drama. It's a tragedy about a choice he never really had. He was a product of his environment, and that environment consumed him. He showed the world that you can be born in the gutter but possess a God-given talent. But he also showed that sometimes even the brightest light cannot drive out the darkness. Imagine what his career could have been. He could have stood alongside the notorious B.I.G., Tupac, Jay-Z, and Nas. We didn't just lose a rapper, we lost an entire universe of music that was never created. His voice lives on in his recordings, an eternal reminder of how thin the line is between glory and death. This story is like a modern Greek tragedy. A hero, blessed with an incredible gift, becomes a victim of fate and the laws of the world he inhabits. He couldn't betray his family, but it was his loyalty to his family that led to his demise. The street code, which was meant to protect, ultimately destroyed him.
These stories didn't only happen in rap. Think of the mafia families. Young men who could have been anything were forced to follow in the footsteps of their fathers and brothers onto a path of blood and violence because the family demanded it. It's a law that breaks destinies. Big L became a legend. But at what cost? The price of a life full of untapped potential. His tracks still rock neighborhoods all over the world. Young rappers study his technique, his punchlines, his flow. He is alive in his music, but his story is a scar on the heart of hip-hop. He was proof that the streets can not only create geniuses, but also destroy them with ease. His fame became his curse. He was too bright, too visible, and therefore became the perfect target for those who wanted revenge on his family. The other side of glory was soaked in blood. So what is the street code today? It has changed, but its essence remains the same. Silence, loyalty, revenge. It continues to claim the lives of talented young people who find themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. Big L's story is not just a tale from the past. It is a warning that the path to the top is paved not only with roses, but with the shattered pieces of broken fates. And sometimes, to survive, he must not only follow the rules, but find the strength to break them. Big L was a genius, caught in a trap of his loyalty, his family, and his home, Harlem. His legacy is more than just music. It is a harsh lesson. A lesson that true success isn't just about climbing to the top, but about managing to stay there without letting the darkness of your past drag you back down. He couldn't, but his voice still screams this to us from the speakers.
The other side of glory is not the gleam of spotlights, but the cold glint of steel. It's a choice that everyone makes for themselves. Big L's story is an eternal reminder of the price that is sometimes paid for loyalty to the streets. The streets that gave birth to you, and that can kill you. If this story made you think, if you felt that energy and tension of the streets, hit the like button on this video. It's the best way to say thank you and honor the memory of a legend. Write in the comments, do you think Big L could have avoided his tragic fate? Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new stories that'll make your blood run cold. We dive into the darkest corners of the criminal world and pull out the truth, no matter how brutal it is. Your support is our main motivation. And as soon as we hit 5,000 likes, I will release a video about the bloodiest gang war in Los Angeles history. The story of the Crips and Bloods, where bullets flew more often than words and entire neighborhoods turned into battlefields. You will learn how two friends founded gangs that became a global symbol of street violence. Thanks for watching. Remember, every legend has two sides, and the one that shines isn't always the real one. Stay strong and make the right choices. See you in the next story. The street code is brutal and unforgiving. It demands sacrifice, and one such sacrifice was a hip-hop genius. His story is forever written on the concrete slabs of Harlem. The world of hip-hop lost its king of rhyme, but his throne remains empty, an eternal reminder of what could have been, if not for one fatal evening and 9 merciless bullets.